What's going on, everybody? Happy football week. What is this, week 9? As the football week begins tonight. How you doing? Happy Thursday, everybody. We are here with another episode of Giants Collective. As always, I'm joined with John down there, Anthony over there, Chris down in the corner, of course. Baddog. There you go. We always like to get the fireworks going. As always, appreciate you guys and girls tuning in. If you could hit the thumbs up for us, that'd be great. We're one subscriber away from 6,000. So who's going to be subscriber number 6,000? So hit that subscribe button.
Let me create my YouTube burner account. I'll do it real quick.
There you go. So that we now have 6,000 subscribers. You can check us out on TikTok and Instagram. You can check us out wherever you get your podcast, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Spotify, and of course, Apple. And if you're kind enough to listen to us on Apple, please leave a 5-star review. As always, huge shout out to the sponsors who sponsor Giants Collective. That would be Sleeper and SeatGeek. We always appreciate them coming aboard. And we appreciate you guys and girls for tuning in, which has been another disastrous season for the Giants. And we were talking about it before we went live. Obviously, there's not a lot to cheer about this year when it comes to the Giants. But one thing you wanted to see was at least our rookies and our young players flourish, give us some hope for the future. And, of course, we lost Malik Neighbors to an ACL tear. And then last week, we ripped my heart out of my chest when I saw my guy Cam Scadaboo. And I know I'm not the only one. A lot of people love Cam Scadaboo, and why wouldn't you? So that's just a heartbreaking loss for the team. You know, obviously it sucks. But Adriana, what do you hear about the injury updates as far as Scadaboo goes?
Well, the good news is it sounds like he's going to be ready for week 1. So he actually is going to be back earlier than Leak is going to be. So I think just having his energy in the building and everything is really important. So it sounds like surgery went really well and he's going to be back on time for the summer. So that is great news. In regards to the other players' injury updates, we have no corners. So I am very, very concerned about that on Sunday. I know the Giants medical staff is conservative, and I do think that concussion should be taken seriously, but I don't understand why every Giants player, it takes them a full 2 weeks to get through the concussion protocol when it seems like every other player who gets diagnosed with a concussion is good to go the following week. Cordell Flott is not ready. We're also missing Art Green, who, you know, is a backup. And then it's not looking good for Paulson Adebo. So I just, God bless all of us in Tay Banks, because, you know, we're going to have to watch him for 60 minutes. So
it's because Daboll's always going into the tent interrupting the evaluations for the concussions.
And let's be fair, Banks doesn't draw any contact. You don't have to worry about him ever getting a concussion. He doesn't hit anybody, so that doesn't really matter. Anthony, I mean, what do we do here with all these injuries? Really nothing you can do, but how devastating is it? We're not the best team anyway, so when you have all these injuries, is there any possibility that they can do anything this week?
I mean, any given Sunday, you know, in the NFL, you can always do something. And leading into this game, there's not much they can do other than sign somebody off the practice squad. I know they had wide receivers in for tryouts this week. There were a couple interesting names like Deontay Johnson and a couple others. So maybe next week they'll end up signing a wide receiver. They also had some cornerbacks in for tryouts, so maybe they'll sign a cornerback next week. But for this week, I think they just have to go with what they have. Maybe call somebody up off of the practice squad, but it's not going to be easy. The 49ers are a really good football team. They've got some playmakers. They've got a lot of talent, and they're one of the best coached teams in the NFL with Kyle Shanahan as their HC and Robert Saleh as their defensive coordinator. So I don't know what they can do, but they're going to have to figure something out. I guess they'll just have to ride the momentum of the rookie quarterback.
Yeah, Chris, how devastating is it to have all these injuries? Again, it seems like I know every team goes through injuries, but it seems like we always get injuries to our biggest key players. If it's not Malik Neighbors, it's Andrew Thomas. If it's not Cam Scadaboo, it was Daniel Jones. It just seems like it's always, or Saquon Barkley. You know what I mean?
I mean, to be fair, our opponent has a lot of injuries to their key players too, right? I mean, Bosa's out for the year. They're missing Fred Warner. Purdy's likely not going to play this week. Their number one wide receiver, what's his name? Ricky Pearsall. He's hurt. So the Niners have a lot of injuries too. So, you know, it is what it is. Yes, you're right, Bad Dog, that my outlook on the Giants, I know a lot of Giants fans always point to the injuries, and I get it. And you're, like you said, our key players are always hurt. But I just feel like the Giants over the last 5 or 6 years, well, we are injured more than most teams. Our depth is why we really complain about the injuries, because teams around the league have injuries, but those teams are able to overcome them a lot better than the New York Giants can, because our depth hasn't been good. We talked about going into the year that the depth was as good as it's been, and it is, but we still lack depth. I mean, look at our secondary right now with these injuries. Look at our linebacking core. Muasau doesn't belong in the NFL the way he's looked since he's been inserted into the starting lineup. So, I think it's more so depth than injuries historically over the last 5 or 6 years for the New York Giants, why we haven't been able to overcome these things. But listen, the Niners are banged up too. After that game, I said there's no chance we're going to win. But the more I think about it, the more I think this is actually going to be a very competitive game. But where I think the Niners have the big edge in this game is what Anthony said, the coaching staff. Shanahan is a much better coach than Brian Daboll. And Robert Saleh, well, he was a failed head coach with the New York Jets, is one of the best defensive coordinators in football. So that's where, well, I think it's a pretty evenly matched game when I look at how banged up the Niners are, plus they're traveling across the country. I just think they have a huge edge with the coaching staff. So that's why I'm leaning that the Niners are going to win this game. But I actually think Dart will keep this game close for the New York Giants.
Yeah, man, the injuries suck. Like I said, the Scatterwood thing really hurt me, because when you're watching a losing team, and none of us really expected a lot. We were hopeful, but I don't think anybody expected a ton from the Giants. We looked at our schedule. We knew it was really tough. So you just want to watch your young guys play, especially when you saw the energy that Dart and Scatterwood brought to the team. I mean, Dart's still there, obviously, but it was just different. Even when we were losing, we lost to Denver, we put up 32 points. I mean, the offense looked really good, and Denver's a really tough place to play and a really tough defense. And we scored 5 touchdowns. We scored 5 touchdowns against Philadelphia, and it's pretty much because of those two guys and a couple of tight ends and Wan'Dale, because he's thrown to practice squad receivers and guys that can't catch the football. So, I mean, at least that gave us some hope for the future and some excitement during the game. And I feel bad for Dart because he's kind of lost everybody. I mean, he doesn't have Scatterwood. That's his buddy there. That's his wingman. You know what I mean? You lose. He had to play like a quarter with Malik Neighbors, and I feel bad for him. It's just a lot of shit that kid's going through. But one thing I love about Jackson Dart is I think he's mature beyond his years. I think he shows a ton of resolve. Like, nothing gets him down. He hates losing. He's a competitor. He's fiery, but at the same time, he's controlled. Like Cam Scatterwood was like out of control fire, which I love. That's what I love about him. Dart's more of a controlled, fiery guy. But you can see his leadership at such a young age. Giants got it right with him. I really think he's going to be really good. We talked about it last show. We just hope that the losing doesn't wear on him, because this is going to lead me to my next point. It seems like it's worn on some of the veterans. We've seen Darius Slayton really have a tough year. He's been here for the losing. And the other guy in that draft was Dexter Lawrence. And obviously we have seen on Twitter, and as I mentioned, I'll let you guys talk about it. When it gets to me, I'll talk about it. But Anthony, what is your take out of the war of words between Sexy Dexy and Carl Banks?
Well, number one, a pissed off Dexter Lawrence is the kind of Dexter Lawrence that I want to see on the football field. So if it pisses him off, good, right? And I think that was probably Carl Banks' intention. Light a little fire under the best player, one of the leaders and captains of the team, and let him go to work. And so hopefully Dexter Lawrence goes out there. I think you can bet on he's going to get his first sack of the season on Sunday. Like, that's how I think he's going to respond to this. So that I'm excited about. And I always think that it's good to have that kind of honest way of criticizing from Carl Banks. I think it's good that he can go after guys and light them up like that. But I will say, I don't necessarily agree with what Carl Banks had to say about Dexter Lawrence. I think that Dexter Lawrence is still incredibly impactful. He's just playing a slightly different role this season. He's doing different things than he did last year. Last year, the Giants didn't have this much edge talent, so they relied on the interior pass rush a lot more. This year, they're moving him around the front a lot more, and they're having him play in different roles in order to clog lanes and open up gaps for other guys to run through. So, and I think Dexter Lawrence is still doing that at one of the highest levels of anybody, if not he maybe the highest level of anybody in the NFL. I know the production's not there, but I don't know. When I watch the game, I still think Dexter Lawrence, he's soaking in 2 players every single play. He's constantly double teamed. He's constantly triple teamed even. So when you're taking up that much attention on the line, that's one of the reasons why Brian Burns has 10 sacks through 8 games. That's one of the reasons why you're getting so many pressures out of Abdul Carter, and Kayvon Thibodeau is playing better this season. Dexter Lawrence is just doing ugly things that don't show up on the stat sheet. I might be biased. I'm friends with his trainer, sure, but I think that he's still playing at a very high level. And I think that people are giving him way too much criticism this year because he's not getting any sacks. And that's fine. I understand it. The whole team is down. And so you're going to criticize everybody that you can. As a fan, you're just going to be frustrated. But I think Dexter Lawrence is still playing at a high level. I just hope that this pisses him off and gets him back to his all-pro level.
Chris, what did you think about what Banks said and Lawrence's retort?
I disagree with Anthony. I don't think he's playing at an all-pro level. I think Dexter and
I said he's at a high level, needs to get back to.
Oh, high level. Okay. I don't even think he's playing at a high level. And it's probably because I expect a lot from Dexter Lawrence. I thought Dexter Lawrence was the defensive player of the year last year in the NFL before the injury. I don't think he's near that player. But I haven't really come out and bashed him because I think he's still recovering from the injury. I don't think he's himself yet. He will never come out and admit that. But people talk about that he's getting double teamed, and he is. He dominated double teams the last couple of years. And I have no doubt he's going to get back to that, which is why I haven't been critical of him. I really do think he's still recovering from the injury. And yes, to Anthony's point, I'm sure he is playing a bit of a different role this year, which is giving Brian Burns the opportunity to have 10 sacks. And the one thing I will say about Carl Banks that I disagree with what he said, the opposing offenses they don't fear him. I disagree with that. They are clearly double teaming him time and time again. But at the same time, I think Carl Banks, it was well intentioned. I think he was trying, like Anthony said, to light a fire under the ass of Dexter Lawrence because he knows how good of a player he can be. And he knows that sooner or later he's going to break out and be the Dex that we all know and love and be one of the best, if not the best, interior defensive linemen in the NFL. So maybe Carl could have went about it a little bit different, but I love Carl. And I actually like that he was kind of a little unfiltered because usually, he doesn't come out and is that critical, whether it be of the coaches or the players. It's weird that he went after Dex, in my opinion, because of the injury and everything else. But if it lights a fire under his ass and he gets a couple of sacks this week and he starts to get back to the player we all know and love, great. At the end of the day, he went up against against the Eagles. They had their backup center in. I think they had a third string guard in the week before when Matt Parrott was out. The old Dexter Lawrence, in my opinion, destroys in those games. So I actually agree with Carl in the sense that he's not the player that we've seen, but I think it's due to the injury, and I think he will get back to it.
I should have done this at the beginning of the thing. Before we get to Adriana, big shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this portion of Giants Collective. If you guys want to get 10% off your tickets at SeatGeek, all you got to do is go into the description, click the link, enter the promo code Giants Collective 10 to get 10% off your tickets. Of course, the Niners tickets are still tickets available. Chris and I will be there in person this time, so I get to see Chris for the first time in 6 years. He looks the same to me, so I'll be able to recognize him, I'm sure, when I see him down there. But if you would like to go to the Niner game or any other Giants game or any game at all, if you're a Cowboys fan, you're an Eagles fan, you can still use the promo code. We don't mind if you use our promo code, even if you don't like our team. If you want to use those tickets to get tickets for your team, you still get 10% off because we don't care. We hate your teams, but we like to spread the love. So use the promo code, get your 10% off. Adriana, what did you think of the whole tiff between Lawrence and Banks?
Honestly, I love it. I think that there is a lack of accountability from the coaching in the building. So if it's going to take former players to light a fire under players' asses, then so be it. Dexter Lawrence is a good football player. And like Chris, I disagree with what Carl said in the sense that they don't respect him because they are still double teaming him a lot of the time. But the reality is against the Eagles, he was going up a backup center. And there were a few plays that I saw on film where Dexter was one-on-one and he did not win that matchup. And any other year, Dexter is winning that matchup. Now, he told the media he's not injured. Well, if you're not injured, then you need to play at 100% because Brian Burns, there are other players that are out there who are dealing with injuries, and that's not an excuse. Brian Burns is not letting his hip and his ankle that he left the game in a boot in last week, that didn't hinder him, and he still ended up with a sack against the Eagles. So I love Dexter Lawrence. I think he's a great football player, but sometimes I think that a little extra motivation doesn't hurt anyone. I think that there is a culture of losing in the building. I think he's been here for long enough that while I think he's upset by the losing, I don't think he's distraught by it. Like Jackson Dart, Scattaboo, Neighbors, Burns, there are other players in the building who are visibly distraught after they lose. And, I hear Dexter in the post game and he just doesn't sound that upset about it. And maybe he is, and he's just not vocal about it. But I personally think that part of it is he's just used to it. And he's just thinking, well, we lost some of our best playmakers. Maybe he doesn't believe in the coaching. Maybe that's what it comes down to. But Shane Bowen was here last year and Dexter had 9 sacks. So the scheme didn't change all that much from last year to this year. I don't know what the issue is, but I do think that Carl got under his skin, and I think we're going to see it on Sunday. And if that's what it took, then so be it. I hope Carl Banks rips every other player that needs a fire lit under his ass this week. So then on Sunday, we can go out and watch everyone play like that, because I think every single player should be playing like their hair is on fire and like they're in a contract year. It's just it. I don't care that you're 2-6. You guys could have been 3-3 or 4-3 or whatever it could have been at this point if you make plays. So, Carl has said that the players have to execute, and we all rip Shane Bowen because we think he's a bad coach. And that's true, but it's not entirely his fault when the players don't do their job. And Dexter Lawrence is part of that. So they have to do their job on the field. And maybe we would have had a few more wins. And maybe it's not 2-6 going into the Niners game. So I think that's definitely part of the frustration too. Like for me as a fan, like I don't ever want to doubt that these guys aren't giving their 100% or, they don't care about losing. I don't fully I don't 100% believe that that's a case, but there is a part of me that believes that a little bit. And that sucks. Like, I want to go out there and see Dexter Lawrence maul people. He got that interception in week 3. It was one of the greatest plays I've ever seen. And then since then, it's like, where have you been, man? Like, we need everyone's help, especially on the defense. We need everyone to contribute if you want to win games. And when you lose the last 2 games, the way that you've lost those games, a big part of it is on the defense for not doing their job. So, like I said, Carl, call them all out, every single one of them, and maybe they'll step it up.
Yeah, it was interesting because Carl usually seems like he protects the Giants. When I heard him say they don't respect you, it did almost sound like it was. I don't think Carl was trying to be like showing him any ill will. It almost sounded like he was trying to motivate him.
Yeah, that's what
they don't respect you. They're laughing at you, bro. They don't respect you. You're not the player you were. They don't take you seriously. We're pretty much, dude. Show these guys who you are. Like, where is the Dexter Lawrence from last year? Where is that dominant guy? Where is that hungry guy? They don't respect you. You're not the same guy anymore. You're not doing your job. They don't even care about you. Your backups are doing a better job. That's and you know what? Dexter Lawrence is a leader and a captain of this team. So if Banks wants to light a fire under anybody, that's probably the guy to do it. Now, I don't really the one thing I'll say is when I don't know who asked him, it might have been Pat Leonard. I don't remember who asked him, but he said, does it mean anything more coming from Carl Banks? And he said, no, that's a total lie. It's one thing for the media to say it. It's one thing for us yahoos on here to say, oh, you suck. Who the hell are we? We never played. It's nothing coming from a fan. When it's coming from not just a former Giant, but a guy that's, trying to get into the Hall of Fame and one of the most legendary Giants of all time during Legacy Week, I do think that those words hold weight. And I think Dexter Lawrence might have been a little surprised by it. I don't know if he was hurt by it or not or whatever, but it was kind of out of character for Carl to say something like that. I'm not mad at it. Good. Some guys need tough love, man. I mean, that's just the way it goes. You're not doing your job. I don't care this is the what have you done for me lately league. And I love Dex. Don't get it twisted. I love Dexter Lawrence, right? But he's this year he's not been that guy. We really haven't called his name much. He really hasn't made a massive impact. And I know Anthony mentioned, the other guys are getting sacks, and it's true, but I thought Dexter Lawrence would benefit from having all that extra talent around him. We just haven't seen him really change a game the way he has in the past. I also think part of this shit, and I said this on Carl's Twitter, the losing just, it frustrates everybody. It frustrates the fans. It frustrates the media. It frustrates the coaches. It frustrates the legends that used to play here. And it frustrates the players. This losing culture has to stop. When will it stop? If we're 6-2 and Dexter Lawrence is having this year, there is no way on God's green earth Carl Banks says anything about it. There's no way.
Of course.
But when you get punked for 277 yards against your division rival, that's not a good look. Yeah, Bowen is part of that. But watching the way these guys tackle or don't tackle or being out of position, I don't know what they practice. That's the thing. Like, you see guys miscommunications, they're blowing plays, they don't know where the hell to go on the field, they're missing tackling. What do they work on? That's why part of that to me is also on coaching. These guys should be in the proper positions. They should know where to go. They should know what to do. And a lot of times it looks like they just call them play. Like, what are we supposed to do? Like, bro, what they say? What are we supposed to do? It's screwed up. But yeah, if
we're dead last in the league against the run.
That's what I'm saying. And over 6 yards to carry, Chris.
It's insane. And I say it every couple. We miss Leonard Williams so much. Since he has left this team, we have not replaced him. This run defense has been the worst in the league since he has left. We talk about all the needs that the New York Giants have next year, and they have plenty. Wide receiver 2, offensive line, secondary. They have got to find a replacement for Leonard Williams. Since he left this team, the run defense has been pitiful. They have to get another strong interior defensive lineman next year on this defensive line. Have to. Dead last against the run.
Awful. It's not close. Like I said, when you're giving up almost 6 yards a carry, that's really disgusting. I mean, it's not one game. I mean, it's 8 games that they're giving up that. That means you're losing at the line of scrimmage. And when they had that really nice stretch where they shut out, the opponents for 5 quarters, they shut down Barkley. Barkley had like 28 yards in the first 2 carries. Then he only had 24 the rest of the game, or 30, whatever it was. They completely shut him down. They shut down Jalen Hurts, and they shut down Denver's running game for 3 quarters, and then it all just fell apart. It just sucks. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know what to do. Like, I don't think anybody does. And that's why we're stuck in this vicious cycle of shit.
Jackson Dart's how you fix it. You hope, anyway.
Yeah, well, he's a start, but he can't stop the run.
No.
That's an issue.
He's not fixing that.
Speaking of which, Chris, if we're going to beat the Niners, how do we do it?
Jackson Dart. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that's how, if we're going to win this game. Now, we talk about how bad the Giants are against the run. That, to me, is by far the biggest mismatch in this game. There is not a better pre-snap, a better – that's what Shanahan's known for, right? His pre-snap motion, creating big run plays. I am scared to death that the Giants are going to get gashed on the ground in this game with Christian McCaffrey. Like, I expect them to give up 200 yards on the ground because the Giants' run defense has been horrible, and Shanahan is as good as anybody in terms of creating big plays in the run game. So that's the biggest mismatch for the Giants. I think they're going to struggle against the run. And if they stack the box, the secondary is going to get lit up. I don't care if Mac Jones is at quarterback. So if the Giants are going to win this game, Jackson Dart's going to have to carry the team on his back. They're going to have to put up, I think, at least 24 to 27 points to even stand a chance to win this game, because I think the defense is going to struggle this week, regardless if Purdy or Mac Jones is at quarterback. So if the Giants are going to win, I think Jackson Dart's going to have to put the team on his back, and he's not going to have a lot of help to do it. So he's going to have one of those games, Baddog, kind of like he had against the Denver Broncos, where he has 3 or 4 huge plays. Giants find a way to put up high 20s, low 30s. That's what I think it's going to take to win this game.
John, what do you think keys of the game are?
Yeah, they have to be able to slow down the run. Even though CMC has been having a really great year, they are towards the bottom of the league. I think it's in rush yards per attempt. So they're still struggling with the run. I saw another stat that said that CMC actually has more receptions and more receiving yards than rushing yards. So I think either way, we have to be able to slow down Christian McCaffrey, regardless in what he's doing, because he is going to beat us on the ground and in the air if we don't do anything about it. So, I think this is a good week for Dexter Lawrence to have a fire lit under his ass. I want to see him take advantage of that. I know we're very injured, but so are the Niners. So they are down to some backup wide receivers. They don't have Fred Warner. We have to use that to our advantage too, and also be able to run the ball. So we need our interior offensive line to get the job done. Bryce Huff did not practice yesterday. They don't have Nick Bosa. So this is not like the front four. There's no Jalen Carter on this team. So I expect the Giants to be able to run the ball decently, have to be able to run the ball on the ground, and to be able to stop it on the other side. And I think if they can do that, they have a chance at winning. I'm definitely worried about the corners, but I think the run game is going to be the biggest issue in this game. Just knowing how talented that CMC is. He's coming off not a good week last week. I think he had 25 rushing yards. So you know that he's going to be looking to try to take advantage of that this week. So got to be able to slow that down.
Tyrone Tracy could have a big game, though. I agree with that. With no Warner, I agree that Tracy could have a big game for the Giants.
Anthony, how do we upset the Niners? Is it an upset? What's the line on this?
2.5. I was surprised. I thought it'd be higher. 2.5.
That's it. 2.5. That's pretty close.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's that close, honestly.
Yeah.
I honestly think that the 49ers, even with all their injuries, the Giants are just as injured. Niners have better depth. The Niners are better coached. So I'm surprised to hear 2.5. But how do you beat the Niners? Like what Chris said, Jackson Dart, just let him go out there and be a playmaker. You don't really have any playmakers left in this offense. I mean, there's Darius Slayton, there's Wan'Dale Robinson. Tyrone Tracy Jr. is pretty good too, I guess, but there's no explosive playmaker like there was with a Cam Scatterbill, of course, like there was with a Malik Neighbors. So your explosive playmaker at this point is your quarterback, Jackson Dart, being able to get off script and create plays on his own and hit those big time throws. That's what it's going to take, is just another great game from Jackson Dart. And the offensive line, of course, needs to hold up, which it has in recent weeks. So I think the defense needs to focus in on trying to slow down Christian McCaffrey, of course. But you do have a backup quarterback in there in Mac Jones. So let Brian Burns and the pass rushers get after it. Hope that you can put them under duress. Mac Jones has been pretty good this year, but if you can pressure a backup quarterback and force him to make some bad throws, hopefully you get some tipped balls, maybe some turnovers. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a tough one to win, but it's not impossible. They have a lot of injuries. That's why the line is tight. So just let Jackson Dart cook.
Also, the Niners defense is the number one in forced fumbles. So I'm a little worried about that, knowing that Tracy and Singletary both have suffered from fumbles in the past. So got to have good ball security this week, and that includes Dart.
Yeah.
I wish I would have called up Turbo Miller. I just don't. I don't know what the hell goes on here. I don't get it. For me, yeah. I mean, obviously, the obvious answer is they got to stop McCaffrey. They haven't been able to stop a nosebleed in the running game. But I think they got to limit big plays anyway. I mean, it could be on a screen pass. They could just. The Giants just don't play fundamental football. I mean, that's all it comes down to. Like I said, they're out of position. They take poor angles at especially Newman. Just I don't know what the hell is going on. The angles these guys take, the way they lose contain on the outside, it's like they don't hold their assignments, and it just seems like it gets in complete disarray. And once it starts to go, it just completely collapses. Like they never seem to get it back together. They never figure out a way to get it back together. It's like they'll hold it together for a little bit, and then as soon as you get that leak, all of a sudden the dam bursts, and then there goes everybody. They can't give away plays either. They can't jump off sides. They can't false start on 3rd down and 1. We can't. I know the calls went a lot of calls went against us against the Eagles, but Eagles Twitter is just they're a fucking joke. I've never dealt with dumber people in my life that just don't understand football. I said that was a turning point in the game, that Jalen Hurts fumble. It is. Oh, there's no turning point in an 18-point game. You can fucking watch the game, idiot. What are we talking about? The game was 7-7. The Giants just scored. If you get the ball back, that ain't a momentum shift. Come on. But Phil, the Giants have made mistakes all year. They're one of the most penalized teams in the league.
I think they are.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't look at to see where they are, but we could be.
Yeah.
And we can't overcome those mistakes. And they just make too many of them. If the Giants are going to win, they have to limit mistakes and they have to control the football. And, you have to be able to run the ball. You have to make a concerted effort to run. And I want to see Jackson Dart go up there and light it up too. I'm going to be there in person. I ain't been in a game in a long time, and I want to see him. This is the main reason I'm looking forward to going, is to get to see Jackson Dart play. He's the guy that I want to watch. So, I hope he has a great game. I hope the Giants freaking find a way to win, but it's going to be tough. And I also wish Robert Saleh was our defense coordinator. So I'd like to put that in there too, because it'd be nice to have a guy like that on our team. But no, we have shitty Shane Bowen. That's who we have.
And to go back to Adriana's point, they really have got to find a way to establish the ground game this week with Tracy, because if they fall behind like they did last week, it's going to be lights out, because the Giants don't have any wide receivers that anybody is fearful of, and the Niners and Robert Saleh is smart enough to realize we're going to do exactly what the Eagles did. We're going to send 6 or 7 guys every single play at Jackson Dart. So they've got to play from ahead, or they got to keep this game close, and the easiest way to do that is to establish that ground game to make the offense less predictable.
Without question. That brings us to close of the first part of Giants Collective. Of course, this portion of Giants Collective was brought to us by our good friends at SeatGeek. Again, if you want to get tickets, and they don't just need to be Giants tickets, if you want to get tickets for anything at SeatGeek, just click the link in the description, enter that promo code Giants Collective 10 to get 10% off your tickets at SeatGeek. Let's hear from them. 80 seconds back after this with your questions. What's going on, guys and gals? You looking for a fun activity? You want to get out of the house? You need something to do? Are you looking for a great gift idea? Well, if so, look no farther than the sponsor of Giants Collective, which is SeatGeek. With over 35 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There's more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and more. Giants season is underway. And say you want to check out Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders at MetLife Stadium? Well, it's easy. Just go to SeatGeek, scroll around, look for the tickets that you want, and SeatGeek's going to have your back. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know you're getting a good deal. Look for the green dots. That's good. The red dots, well, it's not so good. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And of course, I have a code for you guys. You can use the code Giants Collective for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with the promo code Giants Collective. Make sure you click that link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you, SeatGeek, for sponsoring Giants Collective, and let's go Giants! When I made that promotion, it was the beginning of the year, and you could see the excitement in my voice with Let's Go Giants. Now it's kind of like, all right, Giants, come on, Giants.
Let's go draft.
Let's go January. Let's go.
No, let's go Dart. I'm excited for Dart.
Like I said, that's I can't wait to watch him play. When I initially bought those tickets, so I was thinking, I'm like, it's still going to be decent weather. Early November's high 50s, low 60s. That's perfect.
Perfect football weather.
And I'm like, maybe by week 9, they might be still good. They might not be, which unfortunately, if we would have just held on to 2 games and we were 4-4, it'd be cool. But I also thought maybe I'll get to see Jackson Dart play. And I obviously thought, unfortunately, I thought for sure, we'd see Neighbors and Scattaboo, but the injury gods.
Right? We get to see it next year, hopefully.
Yeah. I'll have to go back next year. See my guy Scattaboo. Nico, thank you. My unpopular opinion. I would break the bank to get Mike here as an OC if Miami ends up firing him. He runs a great modern offensive motion and scheme, but I believe limited by Tua respectfully. What do you guys think?
Is that unpopular? I feel like that should be popular.
I don't like him as a head coach, but as an offensive coordinator, McDaniel was great. So, yeah, I'd be open to that.
Would they? Yeah, but I mean, how would we get him as an OC? They'd have to fire the entire coaching staff, right? And they'd have to bring in another head coach, and then because you're not going to,
it would be.
You're not going to just fire Kafka. I think I honestly have all the guys that would be safe. He seems like he'd have the best job. Now, if they lose Daboll, he's going to lose his job too.
Of course, yeah.
I feel like he's been the one guy where you really haven't been saying we got to fire Kafka. Not that he does the best job, but I think he's done a better job now that he's got Dart.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like he's
he's
been
done a fine job.
Yeah.
I think I think, when you look at how the league really respects Mike Kafka and all the teams that want him for a head coaching job, like I've said, if the Giants are going to fire Brian Daboll at the end of the season, they should do it at least a month before the season ends so you can get a look at Mike Kafka because he's been a good coach this year. I mean, not great. Nobody on this coaching staff has been great, but out of the guys that we have, I think he's been the best. And a lot of these other teams around the league seem to think he's a diamond in the rough. So I would like to see him get an opportunity in the interim at least. And either he's showcasing for other teams or for the Giants. I don't care. But if the Giants are going to fire Brian Daboll, they feel like that's going to happen with a month left in the season. I think they should let Mike Kafka be the interim.
I completely agree with that because, if he does end up being a good coach, you got him. And he obviously knows the players and the players know him and they know his system. And Jackson Dart's not going to have to make any kind of adjustment. It's going to be the same thing. So I agree with you. I mean, if we're sitting there with 4 games to play and, we're whatever at that point, 3-11, there's no reason to keep Daboll here. We have talked about this ad nauseum. And Anthony said it best. The reason I love that is one of my favorite things is Daniel Jones didn't fail because they fired Pat Shurmur. They failed because they brought in another bad coach. And I actually quoted that on Twitter. And then somebody said, well, who's to say they don't bring in the right coach? And I mean, that's fair, but we know Daboll's not the guy. I think after 4, you can't just go, well, it's his first year at Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
No, he has a track record and it's not good. So
I'm afraid that they're going to keep Daboll because I don't know if you guys have seen this, but every head coach that we now go against when they talk about Jackson Dart, they are over complimentary.
Well, they love him. They love him.
Kyle Shanahan and Rob Saleh. Kyle Shanahan said that also he loves Scat, that he was high on their list, that Jackson Dart is doing everything right. Rob Saleh, he's an amazing quarterback. We're going to have a hard time going against him on Sunday. I'm like, if all these other head coaches every week continue to glaze Jackson Dart, I'm afraid that John Mara is going to be like, well, everyone else
John Mara should say, so let's get him a better coach.
I get that point, and I think it's a very fair point, and it logically it makes sense. But by the same point, I could say, and they may very well keep Daboll. I still am not one way or the other. I got to see the last 9 games before I can really make what I think is a good prediction. But you could just as easily say, well, if everybody loves Dart and you fire Daboll, it should be the most sought after job in the NFL.
Yeah, true.
Like Mike Vrabel couldn't wait to coach Drake May. You would think if Jackson Dart continues to play really well, the good coaches would be like, yeah, hell yeah, I want to take that job. They got neighbors, they got an emerging quarterback, they got a high draft pick. So I think I could also take the opposite end of the argument there. I think it could be an attractive job.
That's the way that I would look at it.
I'm just afraid John Mara is going to see all of that and be like, wow, we have to keep Daboll because all of these other head coaches wanted him and we got him.
Yeah. It's a fair point.
But Daboll at the end of last year, one of the reasons he kept his job is because John Mara put out feelers during the last month of the season to see who would be interested in taking the job, and he didn't get any buyers. Nobody wanted the job. Now there's going to be a lot of people who want the job. So I think, if he has hesitation, he's considering moving on, he's going to weigh his options. He's going to hear, okay, I mean, Robert Saleh is a head coach candidate, and he's out here praising Jackson Dart. He's not my candidate. I wouldn't go for Robert Saleh, but he is a head coaching candidate. Even Vic Fangio is a head coaching candidate. Sean Payton, he's a great head coach. He's got guys on his staff who are great head coaching candidates. Even Davis Webb has gotten some former New York Giant quarterback. Davis Webb has gotten some praise around the league
legend
as a potential head coaching candidate. So even if it's not just the head coaches singing the praises, the players, Matthew Stafford is singing his praises. Where do you think he's hearing that from? Probably from Sean McVay. There are coaches all over the league that would line up to coach Jackson Dart. I think we're seeing that proven in real time. So if at the end of the year, again, whether that's Kafka for the interim or if it's just John Mara looking around and saying, what are my options internal? What are my options external? How do they stack up against each other? He's going to find out. There are a lot better coaches out there that are eager to coach Jackson Dart that will probably get it right. He can find somebody, and he's going to have no problem doing that.
I think for that point you just made, Anthony, whether or not they move on from Daboll, I think that's why Daboll is going to see the full year, because I think Mara's going to want to see the potential candidates, which means you have to wait for the year to end for teams to potentially fire coaches like a Mike Tomlin, fingers crossed, like a John Harbaugh, before he says, all right, I want to move on from Daboll. I think he's going to want to see what's out there like he did last year where he was throwing out feelers. So it's why I don't see Daboll getting
Kafka's out there. That's the thing, though. Kafka's a hot candidate to everybody else except the Giants, and that drives me insane.
If they roll with Kafka, I'm going to support whoever is the head coach. I'm a Giant fan. But to me, that's like almost like the Ben McAdoo hire when you hired the offensive coordinator, only worse because the Giants were at least a good offense. They were actually a decent team when McAdoo was the coordinator. I wouldn't love that hire. At this point, I want something different. If you're going to move on from Daboll, give me a guy with some experience as a head coach.
I don't disagree with you, but you say that now, and then if he's got 4 games as a head coach and the Giants go 4-0, you might change your mind. But that's what I'm saying. You can't leave that stone unturned. You have to at least see it. That's how I feel about it. You got to at least, if you're going to go on the head coaching search, if you know that by week 10 that's pretty close. If you know that by week 13, let's say, a few more weeks of this, if you know you're going to go on the head coaching search, you got to give Mike Kafka a chance, I think.
Yeah, I should have said this before we got started. This portion of Giants Collective is brought to you by our friends at Sleeper, the fastest growing app out there. 10.7 million people are using the Sleeper app. They have daily fantasy contests, college football, college basketball, NBA, all that good stuff. They have entries for a minimum of $1. It takes about 30 seconds, and you can win up to 1,000 times cash. They have 2 great promotions going. If you have a Sleeper account and you haven't made a deposit, all you got, and you want to, click the link in the description, use the promo code HMA. You get a 100% match deposit bonus up to $100 on your first deposit. Even better than that, if you don't have a Sleeper account and you want to see what all the hubbub is about and you want to try it out, well, it's great. Click the link in the description. Open a Sleeper account, $20 for nothing. No debit card required, no credit card, no deposit, no nothing. Just open a Sleeper account using our link in the description, $20. Try it out. And if you like it and want to make a deposit, still can get that first match deposit. So check out Sleeper. The one thing I'm going to say about Brian Daboll is this. There's 2 things, man, that I think really hurt him. And it has nothing to do with the Giants. Daniel Jones, I actually just did a video about that. Daniel Jones is the reason Jackson Dart shouldn't be saving Brian Daboll's job.
I agree with that.
All you got to do is look at what Daniel Jones. Now, you can say he's got a better team around him, and he does. But he's playing different. And these guys, if I can see this, and I'm just a nobody fan, if you're in the building and you're watching and you're John Mara, and you know Mara's the reason Daniel Jones got that contract, and you know John Mara didn't want to let him go. But your coach has convinced you this isn't our guy, and I think they got a guy in Jackson Dart that's going to be great here, okay? And I love Jackson Dart. But Mara probably thinking to himself, look at what he was. Look at what he's doing. Why couldn't our coaching staff get that out of him? He had years to work with him, and we never saw any Daniel Jones like this at all. And the other one is Vrabel in New England. Drake May had a coaching change after his rookie year. He's the best quarterback in the league. He's the MVP in the first half.
Or you could just look at Josh Allen. The whole reason why Daboll got this job to begin with. He won an MVP after Brian Daboll left.
Right.
So it's not
There's
like
a lot of things going against him, in my opinion.
Daboll left, yeah.
Which is why Jackson Dart should not save his job, because other quarterbacks have succeeded without him. They've gotten better without him. So what are we talking about? Anthony said it best. Get him a better coach, and he'll be a better quarterback. And really, C-Bones, thank you. He says, well, fam, make this make sense for me. Daboll, not Kafka, gets credit for Dart the offense. And we were just talking about this. Exceeding expectations. Meanwhile, Bowen, not Daboll, getting blamed for the defensive struggling. Brian Daboll, that's why that happens, I guess.
I think the fans are starting to turn on Daboll, if I'm being honest. I think it's still split. I get the argument to keep Daboll. It makes complete sense, right? The fans see what happened to Daniel Jones early on in his career. Daboll is known to be a guy that's a good quarterback guy. They want him to stay here, and they want him to continue to grow with Daboll, with the way that Darts look. So I get that argument, but I think the fan base is at a bare minimum split. I think a lot of fans are completely out on Brian Daboll. And they're not using Bowen as just as an excuse for why the defenses look bad. At the end of the day, Brian Daboll's the head coach. He's got to take some responsibility for everything. He's not the quarterback coach. He's the head coach.
I also think fans are thinking, well, Dart looks good because of Daboll, and that's why the offense looks good.
Yeah, I think it's Jackson Dart. I think it has more to do with Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
I think Anthony mentioned it last show. He seems better when he's off script. He seems like he's a better quarterback when he's just improvising. That's got nothing to do with the play call. That has everything to do with Jackson Dart's ability to make plays when they're falling apart and extend plays and survey the field and feel the pass. Right? It's instinctual. He's not coached to do that. That's already in what's the word? Embedded in him. So, listen, I'm ready to move on from Daboll. I just am. Shane Bowen's a lousy coach. And Brian Daboll oversees that. Brian Daboll could have told him we're not dropping 8. No, we're not doing that. We're sending pressure. If we get beat, we get beat. But we got beat being soft against Dallas. I'm not having that happen again. I'm trying something different. I'm not losing the same way I lost over there. That's not happening, and that's not what happened. They did the same thing, and we had the same result. So I'm done with him. So it is what it is. It's too much losing. Since he started 7-2, his record's like freaking 12-33 or some. Just it's garbage. It's terrible.
I think I said it last show. Like if anybody could find me, and again, maybe they win 6 out of the last 9, and then obviously he keeps his job. But we still have 9 games to play. But if anybody in the chat could find me a coach that has finished with a top 6 draft pick 3 years in a row, which is at least where this looks like it's trending, and was able to keep his job for a 4th, please point it out to me in the history of the NFL. So if the Giants win 4 or 5 games, I expect Brian Daboll to be fired, regardless of Jackson Dart's the quarterback or not. Like you said, Bad Dog, it's too many consecutive years of losing. You've gotten a lot of chances, and the team continues to struggle. They're the most penalized team in the league. Whose plate does that fall on? Right. So yeah, I agree. If they continue to lose, Bad Dog, he's out.
That's how many delayed games do we get? Like what's going on here? Yeah. We praised these guys in the preseason for getting up to the line of scrimmage, and the tempo was much better. And all of a sudden, we get into the game, it's like we don't know what the hell we're doing.
Yeah.
It's insane. They all say Brian Daboll's offense is really complex. Well, Jackson Dart seems to run it just fine. So if you got somebody that's not as complex, imagine what he could do with that. They simplify. Not that he needs it simplified, but imagine if it was a little bit. He didn't have as much on his plate to think about when he was calling the play.
Yeah.
Dr. Garrett. Thank you, buddy. Salute to you guys and gal for doing this every year for this team. I just tried to listen to Bowen's presser earlier, and I'm officially dumber. Love you guys.
I didn't even know he did a presser, but yeah, that's not worth watching.
No, our guy, Dr. Garrett's been with us a long time. That comes from one of our streams when we were blaming Garrett on everything or something, and we just started calling him Dr. Garrett. There's a Dr. Garrett in the chat. It's great. Bear. Thank you, buddy. For guys like Newman, Banks, Theo, would you draft for positional replacements, or do you think it's more coaching for their decline?
Well, I'm 100% drafting a corner. I think Theo is going to be okay. I would also think about, I don't know, but I re-signed Bellinger. I guess it probably depends on what they do with Bellinger too, but Theo is on, he's only in year 2 of a 4-year deal. So he's not going anywhere. So they won't replace him. I think the question will be, will they replace Bellinger? But they have Fedoni, so maybe not. But I'm 100% replacing Banks. And I think with Newman, I think with good coaching, he's going to be better. We saw a better version of him last year in the same system. So I don't really know what's happening this year, but I'm not giving up on him. He's only in year 2. I think with coaching, he will be better. And you can't teach speed, but I think there are ways to help that a little bit. Maybe some sort of training, conditioning, strength,
better angles.
Like they pay trainers to figure this shit out. So someone's got to be able to help him there. But for me, the corner is the one position out of those 3 that I'm 100% drafting for. I'm re-signing Cordell Flott, and that is a position that needs some help desperately.
Yeah, pull that back up. I just want to see the players you mentioned again, Bad Dog. So you mentioned Theo, Banks, Newman. Oh, just those 3. Okay. Yeah. So for me, I only look at on this team right now. Jackson Dart's a cornerstone piece. Dexter Lawrence, I still believe in him strongly, regardless of how he's looked thus far. I think he's a cornerstone piece. Andrew Thomas is a cornerstone piece. Malik Neighbors is a cornerstone piece.
Abdul Carter.
Abdul Carter's going. I still
Brian Burns.
Yeah. But outside of that, you just draft the best available player. I don't care about position. None of those guys are guys that I'm going to avoid drafting a better potential replacement in the draft. I'm not letting Tyler Nubin stop me if I absolutely love a safety in the second round next year. I'm not letting I'm not letting Deonte Banks stop me if I love a cornerback in the 6th round, the way that he's played. But, So, none of those guys are irreplaceable. If you like a guy in the draft at the position that they play, you draft them, period. End of story.
Yeah. Deonte Banks blows. I don't know what to say. I don't even want to look at him, and now I have to. And I have to look at him. It's such a disappointment. Man, somebody put that on Twitter too, the 2023 draft, and I remember that day and this first 2 days, and I was like, man, Joe Shane nailed those first 3 picks. No, we didn't. It's so bad. Shizlo, thank you. What do you guys think about Robert Saleh for head coach?
No,
No,
he was a disaster with the Jets. Disaster.
I mean, everybody's a disaster with the Jets, but I think
the way he handled things too, though, with the media and the quarterback situation, bringing
some guys are meant to be coordinators. He's one of them. We talked about that.
He's a great defensive coordinator, but not as a head coach.
Not a head coach. And I think Brian Daboll would be a great offensive coordinator, just like McAdoo was, just like Shermer was. But when you have to oversee everybody else, that's just not everybody's built for that. Not everybody can take on the responsibility of all of that stuff. So, Daboll's days are numbered.
Yeah.
Dr. Garrett again. Thank you. Kafka, interim head coach. You forget who's upstairs. Bowen takes over.
Probably.
Yeah. I don't know that.
Bowen might be a great offensive coordinator because he knows how to give up points. So he might be a great offensive coordinator. The Giants may want to think about that.
That's true. Well, he certainly knows how to give up running yards. Maybe we could finally get this running game going if he was. Cam Scotty might have 2,100 yards on the ground if he's our our offensive coordinator. I just hate saying even his name. I'm so torn up about Scotty, man. I can't freaking tell you how disappointed I am. I get to see him play. It just sucks. Zach Attack says, thank you, buddy. He says, I just want to shout out special teams coordinator Michael Gabriel. I hope I said that right. Gabriel. I hope we keep him at least. I've never actually seen his name spelled. Hope we keep him at least. And the offensive line coach, Brasillo's been great.
Yeah.
Keep up the good work collective. Is it possible Brasillo would get a promotion? You think he just stays the old line coach? Like, I wouldn't want to lose him because if there has been one aspect of this team that I think is like overperformed, it's been the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to lose him, but he clearly could be a casualty. If you're talking about firing the head coach, the new coach may want to bring in his guy. I don't want to lose him. I'm hoping we don't lose him, but yeah, he's done a great job. Special teams coordinator has been terrific. Outside of last week, the last week was the first week where the Giants special teams actually was really bad. But other than that, yeah, he's been terrific. That's been a huge upgrade for the Giants special teams this year.
To my knowledge, if the Giants were to fire, let's say, the whole coaching staff except for Carmen Brasillo, they can do that. And the only way he can leave is if he gets a promotion because they can block a lateral move. I think that's how it works because didn't that happen to the Giants a couple of years ago? I want to say it was the Atlanta Falcons fired their whole staff, but they kept the offensive line coach. Giants tried to interview their offensive line coach, but it got blocked.
Wouldn't that be up to the new coach? Like if the new coach wanted to be his offensive line coach,
Yes.
Yeah,
it's up to the new coach, but I'm saying it's possible to retain Carmen Brasillo if you want.
But when we had coaching changes, I remember we kept the special teams coordinator from regime to regime. We kept but
nobody else had interest in Thomas McGahee, so we didn't have to block anybody from interviewing him. Nobody wanted him.
Good point.
Who's he with right now? I think he's with the worst special teams. Is it Seattle? I think they're. I know whichever team he's with ranks 30th, 32nd, or whatever in special teams.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Thomas McGahee, man. Ultimate scam artist.
Well, yeah, we have a few of them in there. Kirk Cousins was a pretty good scam artist. I don't know. His agent should be in the Hall of Fame. Kirk Cousins. I don't know. But again, just want to say this portion of Giants Collective is brought to you by our friends at Sleeper. Let's hear from them. Be back with the rest of your questions. 30 seconds. Back after this.
Sleeper is the #1 fantasy sports app. It pays to know sports. Pick more or less on top players. Your first pick is on us, so start winning now. Play in Texas, Georgia, Minnesota, and 27 more states. Pick anytime across all sports, pregame or live. Over 10 million players are already on Sleeper. Make your picks count. Score up to 1,000 times your cash. Join today. Get up to $100 credit using code HMA. Call your shot on Sleeper. Download now.
Yes, indeed. Big shout out to Sleeper. And I just want to say, when I was checking this out while we had that little commercial break, we did reach 6,000 subscribers. So thank you very much. Yes, indeed. Also, I believe it's today, if I'm not mistaken. It says today is our birthday. So Giants Collective is 1 year old. So I guess we started this. We started this show this day last year. Would have known that's because we were doing it on Mondays and Wednesdays. So yeah. So big shout out to us. 6,000 subscribers on our 1 year anniversary. We did it. We did it.
To Anthony, I see his wife's in the chat. It says Mrs. Fireside Giants is in the chat. So congratulations to you, Anthony.
Oh, all right. Well, good for you, Anthony. I didn't realize we had a Mrs. Fireside Giants, and now I guess we do.
Yes, we do.
Skywalker, thank you. Says if the Eagles get Miles, I'm done with football.
Myles Garrett?
Miles isn't going anywhere. He signed that huge contract this offseason. He's, for better or for worse, his ass is stuck in Cleveland.
Yeah,
probably for worse, but yes, not for us.
Better for us, though. I mean,
yeah, better for us. Yes.
Yeah, he's not going there. The Eagles don't need anything anyway. If the Eagles can't win fairly, don't worry. They got the officials on their side. It doesn't really matter. They have that tush push whenever they want to use it. They know that they can false start. They know they can fumble. They know they can get stood up at the line of scrimmage, and they're not going to blow the play dead until he gets a first down, unless he loses the ball. Then they'll call a play dead without a whistle. They're allowed to false start all the time, and if your defensive player jumps because they moved, it's still on us. Fuck them. I can't stand that team. Analysts, I hated them anyway, but watching the bullshit they get away with just ticks me off even more. It's just so pathetic the way the NFL is officiated. It's just disgraceful. It's embarrassing how bad it is. Analysts, thank you, says if the Giants could win Sunday, if someone told you the Giants would go 3-1 for the first 4 home games against the Chiefs, Chargers, Eagles, and 49ers, I think you'd be very pleased, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd also think that we were a football team who won way more than 3 games.
That too.
Right. True. Yeah.
I'd be a lot more pleased if they won a single game on the road, but they haven't. So until they do that.
Yeah. Well,
I'd be pleased if they won 2 in a row for the first time since 2023 too. So that'd be nice.
I would have been pleased if they found a way to win a game that they had a lead in with 30 seconds kicking off. That'd have been nice too, because we would have won 2 road games if shit for brains Shane didn't freaking blow it.
But no, that's a good point. If they win at home, those are 3 out of 4. That's impressive. At home, that's definitely impressive.
Well, maybe
especially
we
after last year.
I was gonna say I like that shit for brains Shane. That one was good. I'm gonna steal that.
Shit
it was really good. Dude, stealing that bad dog. That was good.
Go right ahead, man. It's all good. But yeah, man, it's insane that we can be 3. If nothing else, maybe we're actually turning MetLife into an advantage for us. Maybe not. I don't know. I just wish we were. I really wish we were 4-4. We had a chance to be. We just don't know. The Giants just don't know how to win, man. And I just feel like it's that culture. I felt like in 2022 they found ways to win, and it got contagious. And they found ways to beat Baltimore at the end of the game. They found ways to beat Green Bay. Those were scrubs they were beating there. They found ways to win those games because they found a way to win in Tennessee to start the year. And then when you lose that game in Dallas, you found a way to lose. And then you found a way to lose in Denver. And then, against Philadelphia, that was obviously going to be very tough. We haven't won there in a long time. I would have liked to have seen. I would like to go. I wish you could go back and play the rest of the game, just calling the fumble differently. It might not have mattered in the end, but at that moment, it mattered huge. And if anybody disagrees with that, you don't know shit about football, because momentum is a huge thing in any sport. So that would have been big. So whatever. I
agree with that. I still think we lose the game because we couldn't stop throwing.
Yeah, I mean, they had 277 yards on the ground. We got no kick from it. But maybe the plays are called differently. I mean, you don't know. It's a fallacy. You don't know an outcome. It doesn't matter. We could have turned it. We could have gave it right back to them on the very next play. So the other one that's funny, though, when I talk about that, the fumble, they're like, well, they gave him the first down like they should have. He was short of the freaking line to gain. All you got to do is look at it. He had the ball in his left hand, and it's before the marker. Brian Burns hit him late. No, he was in the field of play. Why? Actually sit down and watch the game. Don't just repeat what you hear from Eagles fans or read the box score. Try actually sit. I know it's tough for them. I'm sure their attention span is that of a gnat. But try sitting down and watching a game for 3 hours. And if not, try reading a book. Oh, wait, they can't read. I forgot. Bear, thank you so much. If you can't tell, I don't like the Eagles. When Scat came back, how should we use him going forward? Should we still have him on the same workload, or should we draft or sign another running back to take the load off? I don't think he changed anything with Scat. That was a freak injury.
Yeah. I'm not against drafting another running back, but I don't think it's for the sole purpose.
We got Tracy, though. I don't think we have to draft that.
Yeah, I mean, if you like one, you take one. That's my mindset. Like, I just think you draft good football players, but I don't think you take the load off. But I never viewed Scatteroo guys on a great football team as a guy that's like a workhorse back. I think he's a guy that could be a part of a very good backfield. So, but yeah, like Baddog said, I think Tracy could be that other guy for sure.
Yeah, I don't think Scatteroo had more than 20 carries in any game. I don't remember exactly what he had against.
He had that one game where he had like
23.
Yeah, one game.
Yeah.
But
that's because Tracy was hurt too. So
yeah. So
and because they only had 2 running backs on the roster.
Of course.
I guarantee they're going to do it on Sunday, and it's going to infuriate me. But they're probably going to do it.
Yeah, of course they will.
We have confidence in Motor.
Yeah, we should have confidence in Turbo. We should at least try him. Why the hell not? With that said, that brings us to the close of another edition of Giants Collective. As always, we appreciate you guys and girls tuning in. Thank you for getting us to 6,000 subscribers. Again, you can check us out on TikTok and Instagram. You can check us out on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and iHeartRadio. As always, a huge shout out to our sponsors, Sleeper and SeatGeek. For Adriana and Anthony and Entertainah, we'll see you guys next time. Except if you're going to the game on Sunday, maybe Chris and I will see you there. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday and your weekend. See you soon. See you on Tuesday. And we are gone. Peace.